This playthrough is rated T for teen.
Greetings and salutations, viewers. Following back here with more bonus content to Sakura Wars. Last time we had our friendship, we compromised. We put our friendship together with the childhood friend and decided to become lovers by the end of the game. Finally, a lot of these romance type of games, they always have them getting together at the very end. They never have well, I mean, obviously they get together, but they never have public displays of affection or anything like that before that. It's almost like you have to save the... Actually, I don't even... Well, I think he did say I love you. But anyway, in this episode, we're going to forgo the childhood friend. You were too selfish, and I can never see you more than the childhood friend. So the other girl that shown the most affection to us after her date was the nerd girl, Claris. Well, I don't know. I guess she would be considered the nerd of the group. The bookworm, Claris. The girl who can use magic, who... Well, it was only important to the plot during her storyline in Chapter 2. After that, it kind of became moot. Like, oh, she can use magic. Okay. I don't know why. I felt like that should have been a bigger deal or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I was looking too much into what I wanted to hear from her tale. It's just like, oh, she doesn't want to use magic because it's dangerous. Okay, and now it's no longer a thing anymore. Now it's not a big deal that she can cast magic. And the only other times you see her casting magic outside combat is when you choose joke decisions in certain parts and talking to her, and she'll pull out like, wind spell or something like that and threaten to send you to hell. What a lovely girl who's always telling you to go to hell every time you don't say the right thing. How endearing that is, You could what? You could what? Go for what? Go sightseeing, go on a date. Yeah, Kamiyama, you just can never think of the right words. You're too thoughtful. You just need to be spontaneous. Spontaneity is the slice of life. The spice of life. I don't know.
Kamiyama-san?
I think I remember talking about this, how I love the fact that the idea that Kamiyama, there's an option to not say anything, is kept into his character, because sometimes the girls will mention that he does that regularly, where he'll just space out. So it's canon that at least at some points during the story, some of the canon decisions, if you consider that canon, would be that he just doesn't say anything and just stares out to space or something like that. Oh, you want to go out with me? Even though I've seen, like, how many poems did you write about me and fanship us together? She even self-inserted, which is the worst thing you can do as a writer. Yeah, you want to go out with me? No. I'd love to. It'd be awesome. Yeah, sure. It'll be the first date you've ever had. Actually, wouldn't that been this be the second date? Because right, she wasn't familiar date, so that's why she went with us on one during Chapter 2. Because she wasn't. You did? I chose a lot of poor decisions there, but okay, I guess we forget about those things. Yeah, the game, story-wise, seems to be dependent on the fact that you make competent decisions for the most part. That's why they're never outright hate you by the end of the game. That's kind of like the disconnect with a lot of anime stories, is when they throw in like the drama, comedy, and whatever. And the way they do comedy sometimes is almost like it's such a tonal shift, because you would think if a character actually did those things or whatever on a regular basis, that the character would get hated by them at some point, because they never I mean, okay, they kind of fix it with the girl beating the crap out of the dude. I'm like, that doesn't really fix the major issue, Oh, because he did this, beating him up fixes it. Okay, whatever. Oh wait, no, I don't know why I'm showing this again. Whoops. I actually forgot to show all the girls happy when I was doing Sakura's story. I forgot to show what the girls actually look like when they're all happy. But anyway, let's prepare for our date for Claris. See where she wants to go for it, because I actually wasn't paying attention when I was talking to her. Just like I do during the main story load. But a break before the snow. Snow, 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 snow. Oh, and if we just want to leave, but yeah, I will show all the girls being stood up. Don't you worry. Some of it's pretty entertaining, actually. Weirdly enough, I showed you guys the most disheartening out of all the missed date scenes. Weirdly enough, where is she? There she is. At the bus stop with everyone else, with Elise and Marguerite apparently, or something like that. What are they all doing there? Hanging out at the. So I don't think they were there last time during that Story Wars. Incredible form, incredible edible egg. Jockey. Oh, you people and your silly Japanese names. How can red beans be turned into a dessert? Shouldn't I don't know. I've never actually had red bean paste or whatever they have. Yeah, I don't think the scene is here if you don't choose the Claris date. I think, if I'm correct. She's like, how did I just walk off? I'm such a jerk in real life, aren't I? No, I'm just contrary. I just like doing stuff that's against the norm just to see how people react. It's probably a mental issue, but what can I say? Yeah, if you say so. Yeah, I don't know if I agree about waiting on things. Especially in this day and age where we can get everything in the blinking of an eye, you know. The aquarium. It's been a while since I've been in an actual aquarium. There actually is one near me, but the cost to go... Well, actually, with things going on right now, I don't even know if it's open. But at the time, the cost to go there was kind of expensive, actually. I mean, at least for my budget, anyway. And of course, like in a lot of Japanese anime, it's usually the dude who gets in crazy situations, while usually most of the girls tend to not. Not all the time, but a lot of times. I don't want to pass through any hoops. Poor Kamiyama. I mean, I guess the idea is he kind of deserves it because of his pervy nature, but he's still a good-hearted fella. He just has... I mean, was he a young man at 20? I mean, it makes sense. He has a little naughty thoughts every once in a while. I mean, you know, just human. You just sometimes don't act on them, that's all. He was being a bit naughty. The Kamiyama dunk. Kamiyama swearing gift delivery. Holy Night confession shot. Hooray! I'm too surprised by it. I'm apparently trying to get on a dolphin or whatever. After what I've heard about dolphins, I wouldn't want to like swim with them or anything like that. Crash in the hoops. Ouch. Think of the children. Don't be dead, Frosty. Did they just do what the bird twirly like sound effect? I'm glad I can entertain the people at the aquarium. I gotta get paid as a staff member. Yeah, volunteer means you don't get paid. See, at least that was different from the Sakura date where they just go to the park. So, you know. Although thinking, if you're making a dating sim, obviously you're not going to make every single girl do the exact same event. Although I've heard there are games like that where you have to just kind of grind points, which that seems kind of boring. I'm more used to grinding in old RPGs. I don't want to grind for like dating stats or whatever. A lovely couple. I don't know about that. I guess for some Japanese men, the idea of dating like a hot European woman, I guess, would... which I don't know if I call Claris a hot European woman, but, you know, she is European. Appearances can be deceiving, we sure do, and I feel lucky. I thought they meant me and the dolphin. Well, I mean, the dolphins are very active when it comes to physical romance. You had it for your thoughts. Isn't it penny for your thoughts? Well, I guess in Japan, so I guess. Well, don't be self-conscious, Claris. Makes you look weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird how the idea of her being magic is kind of her block, and yet it's almost kind of a moot feature after a certain while. Then again, I guess I didn't want the story to be there dragging on forever. I don't know, just like it was just like an afterthought, or not even a big deal, you know, when you think about it. I guess that's the point. Now here, for going on a date, we unlock her special day bromide. A special bromide commemorating a date with Claris. I can't decide on what to read next. Oh darn. No, I mean, there's like millions of books out there, so you'd never be able to read them all unless you're like a speed reader. You can just read books by touching them or something like that. Which I think wasn't that a plot in like a science fiction story or something like that? Was being able to like read books by touching them or something like that? I know in some video games that's how you could get powers from it, but I don't remember the video game. It might have been like a tabletop game or something like that, but. Alright, let's go to our room and rest, and we'll get the night event, or the night date, or event, or whatever you want to call it, with Claris. Claris is probably my fourth, I'd put her in probably fourth tier in terms of the romance characters or whatever. So Sakura's at 5, and then Claris is at 4. Only slightly more tolerable. Because she actually has moments of clarity, and she never has a major well, I guess she does have a moment of weirdness where she's like, oh, I can't use magic, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, or magic's evil, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, really? That's your big story arc? Like, even when Kamiyama talks to her, he's just like, man, the decision you can be like, oh, man, magic's cool, you know. But, yeah, it's I don't know, it's just like a thing, like, I know they're each supposed to have a tale that kind of brings them out of the brink, that you save them or at least help them out or whatever. And it's just like, oh, I don't want to use magic. I'm like, okay. I mean, did you actually... What? And she talks about not wanting to hurt someone. Shouldn't there have been a story of her actually hurting someone with her magic? But, I mean, I don't remember her ever straight out going... saying she did something like that. Just so she was afraid of doing that. I think her story would have been more interesting if she'd actually seriously hurt someone. Like, maybe if we hurt us. Like, if we... Like, after we saved the girl, maybe her magic caused us to break our arm or something. I don't know. Just something that, like, would... That put us in such physical harm that she, you know, was afraid of using magic after that. But, I don't know. I feel like her story was not told properly, if that makes sense to you folks. I'm really, really tired. No. Like I said, personally, I would do that just to be a jerk and just to see the reaction. But like I said, I'm here to show you most of the stuff. Obviously, if you... They both go on the... Really? The final date is them all going on the Ferris wheel? Come on, game. We could have gone somewhere else. Could have gone late night swimming or eating candy or watching the fireworks or something like that. It's all riding the Ferris wheel. Okay, points off for the game for having everyone's night date be the exact same thing. Oh well. Then again, in Final Fantasy VII, the final date during the Golden Saucer scene is also in the same area. But that's because it's a big old RPG with, like, you know, 3 or 4 books worth of dialogue, you know, in it. And all these other things you have to code into it, so. Yeah, Ferris wheels are pretty slow. They're meant to be slow for the ambiance, if you know what I mean. That's time to talk, but we have plenty of time to talk. We have days and days of talking. You know, I think one of the also major issues with having some of the girls be, they say their nationality is whatever, and yet yes, they can speak Japanese, but they never sound... I mean, clearly this is a Japanese voice actress, not a foreigner doing Japanese, like, because obviously that would... let's see. How close should I... Let's just... How close to should I... Let's just do the... Whatever the minimum is. Is that minimum is closer, or is... Interesting enough, when you go on your date, she talked about, like, going back to the theater. Interesting enough, when you go on her date during chapter 2, you can actually skip the fortune teller scene. Well, one, you can skip a lot of scenes if you didn't do all the exploration around to find all the areas, so you can skip going to the Ferris wheel and all this other stuff. But 2, if you go to the fortune teller, there's an option to say I don't want to do it or whatever, and it skips it. So Anastasia being there, being the fortune teller, is completely skipped. Like, that wasn't even supposed to be an important reference, which I guess it wasn't, because Anastasia never goes out and tells us that she was the fortune teller, because it's highly assumed that she's the fortune teller. So apparently in our days off, she likes telling people's fortunes, apparently. But I know this had nothing to do with this main date here, but I thought that was an interesting thing to talk about while replaying through the game. What's she stick in her mouth? What's she doing? Oh, are they feeding each other candy or something like that? Oh, they're eating chocolate sticks. I thought they were eating something else, if you know what I mean. See how I'm not actually paying attention to the dialogue? Even though I did slightly enjoy my playthrough of this game, I'll admit not all the dialogue is that riveting, if you know what I mean. At least it's better than The World Ends With You. Holy cow. That dragged on forever. Bye, wolf it down one bite. How can she beat me in this? Something like that, anyway. She's like, oh, they're eating it at the same time. So it's kind of like the whole... It's kind of like the Lady in the Tramp scene, where they eat the spaghetti, except this time the chocolate. And 2, they didn't even have their kiss because I messed up. Oh, well. I'm surprised you're feeling so good about that. Well, you're dating us, so obviously you understand Kamiyama's like foibles to a point anyway. Maybe another day. Yeah, if we have another date. And of course I'm showing you in, so. Alright, I'll see you when we go to the final chapter, or after we beat the game. And we'll go from there. So see you all in a second. Alright, we're back at the final chapter after beating Ouroboros and stuff like that. And luckily, like before, I saved it all ahead of time, so I don't have to. I've already replayed through that battle multiple times already. I'm sick of it. Unfortunately, Kamiyama's dialogue is pretty much almost the same per girl. It's just the difference is the girl talking or whatever. Which I guess makes sense. Obviously, you have to save some time somewhere. You know, not every single line of dialogue has to be unique. I mean, he does some slightly different things per girl, but, you know. Yeah, they're resting. They're resting in peace forever. And of course, like all the girls, yep, you go to the stage to finish the ending off. And that doesn't change per girl, so. Alright, now let's go to the battle bot thing and show you Claris's final move that I didn't show you. I think I only showed Anastasia's during her chapter, so. Alright, let's not choose the frickin' final battle because it takes like, you know, 5-10 minutes to get through the animations or whatever. Let's just choose. Let's choose chapter 7. Hopefully that doesn't take too long to. I don't remember that one taking too long to get through. But yeah, I do like the fact that there's like that little weird long anime cutscene every time you use a team attack, and luckily you can just skip it if you've seen it. There is a trophy for seeing the scene 5 times in a row, which all you have to do to unlock that like immediately is as soon as you unlock team attack, just immediately restart from the beginning. Just do it at the beginning of the map, restart it. It counts as a use. So there you go. And of course, their little thing is another romance trope, you know, where they somehow touch the same book and all that other stuff. So, yeah, Claris and Sakura pretty much represent almost the same. Like, if this had been like just a dating sim game without the demons and mechs and all that, they probably would have been the two main girls. Because there's a lot of, from what I understand, there's a lot of dating games where it's just like one of two characters, and Claris and Sakura represent those types of characters that you run across. You know, the childhood friend, or the bookworm, or you know, stuff like that. And nothing wrong with that. I mean, those tropes are around for a reason, because people like those types of characters and so forth and so on. But you know. But yeah, let's go, now that we've seen that, let's go talk to Claris and finish the end of our game. Claris's tete-a-tete is, I guess I forgot to talk about this during Sakura's video, but oh well. Claris's tete-a-tete is, you get that during chapter, I think it's either the end of chapter 2, the beginning of the 3rd chapter, I think. But anyway, you would talk to her about her writing and stuff like that, and getting her inspiration for the play. Which I guess it is after a certain... Yeah, I think it is during... I think it's like near the end of chapter 2 or whatever. But yeah, you just basically give her inspiration for her play and everything like that, and what... and giving her ideas. Most tete-a-tetes are put into first-person mode when you do them. But I'll show you that when we do one of the other girls' stories. Mainly to give you extra content, because you probably guessing who it's going to be for us. So. Yep, it's time to get out of here. Time to finish this game. Yeah, I thought the world was going to end. It's like it's all RPGs. All stories end up with being the end of the world, possibly, and you have to save it. I'll admit that type of story idea sometimes gets old. Not all the time, because, you know, sometimes if you're only going to do one game in the series, you need it to kind of be like, well, if we're only going to do one game with all these characters, might as well make it big, right? It's never like, oh, you have to save your kingdom, and that's basically the game. Most Western RPGs weirdly tend to do that type of plot. They usually don't do the trying to save the universe of the world. It's usually like, I have to save my hometown, or I have to save myself, or I have to survive, or whatever. It's usually you have to save this like small area, but it's never like the whole world, you know. I mean, she is the script writer, so I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have her. Oh, she... Of course, they don't actually get close like Sakura and her. They do the awkward, like, oh, should we shake hands or hug or... Aw, we got... The girls came in. Dang it. The only interesting thing about this is because you would think Sakura would have an issue with this, like maybe show a bit of jealousy. But I guess maybe the whole point is that she's... understand that you're just friends at this point, or maybe you had too low trust, or it would insert her into another character's ending when it's not supposed to be her ending, kind of like she did it a couple times during the game, which is weird because there's actually a scene of her, if you choose to, I think it's actually during Claris's, actually it is during Claris's cutscene where she's trying to fight, decide to use her magic or not. And oh yeah, see how this little ending scene is different than Sakura's? Yeah, you can tell they're not as excited because they did so low. But yeah, it's during Claris's when she's deciding to use magic or not. There's actually a decision to go, Sakura, go get him. And Sakura even says, I can do that? Why'd you target me? And two, wouldn't that be... shouldn't Claris get this because it's her time to shine? Like the game points out that would be ruining her moment, yet Sakura did that a couple times. But anyway, let me show you the into what did the bookworm and the silly captain do at the end of their days, or at the end of their...
勝負みたいですね。出ましょう。神山さん。
散々な温泉旅行だね。
でも楽しいです。あなたと一緒だから。
Kind of weird how their ending deals with them just going to like a sauna or whatever. But a little bit more reasonable than jumping their car in a freaking lake. But at least, like I said, at least each girl has a slightly different ending. Yeah, that was Claris' ending. The bookworm, I guess she gets the ending. The perfect fairy tale ending that she always wanted. You know, gets the guy at the end. But yeah, I'd say she's my fourth favorite. Fourth favorite. She's number 4 on my list of all the girls. And like I said, it's because she has some scenes similar to Sakura where, you know, she gets super mad at the main character, maybe almost to a ridiculous degree. But at least she has some forms of clarity, and her story about not using magic, though dumb, is not as bad as Sakura's, who's, you know, basically just forgoes the rest of the team because of her little temper tantrum. And I know it's more than that, but anyway, at least I don't have a thing for the bookworms, you know, me being one myself, but yeah, Claris is only 4th on that one. So anyway, we'll call it that for Claris's little events. But now it's time in the next bonus episode to deal with the tiny ninja and how she deals with our great captain there. It's not as bad as you think, but it's kind of ooey when you think about it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.